Hello and welcome to Rita's Paper Motif. I'm Rita and I'm here today at Rita's Paper Motif to share with you some card designs, in hopes that they will inspire you and hopes that they will offer ideas for different cards that you can make, and also in hopes that I can earn your business. So as we get started today with our clear cards using our acetate, I wanted to just quickly share with you something that I feel is important that I need to, because there is a deadline coming up. So I'm sure that you are aware of, and if you aren't aware of, then I'd like to introduce the campaign that Stampin' Up! Has been running since the beginning of January. It's called Celebration. And what Celebration is it's an opportunity for you, when you make purchases in $50 increments, to earn some free products. So it's a great way for you to increase your inventory, and also it offers some items that go along with other stamp sets or collections in our mini catalog. So it ends at the end of February. Now today is February the 23rd, and so this ends on February 28th. So you really only have 5 more days before this excellent campaign ends. Now it is my understanding that this will be the only celebration campaign for the year of 2023. So time to take advantage, I'd say. All right, so as I'm getting set up here, I just want to say welcome. It's snowing outside right now here where I live. Hope you're having better weather, and I would love for you to share with me where you're watching from and what your weather's like. That'd be great. You could go ahead and just say hello in the comment section. But today we're going to cover what I call clear cards. And we're going to be using a material that's very transparent, and it's acetate. So let's talk about that a little bit. The acetate that I use, and I use this for my clear layovers. I also use this acetate for hinges, for shape cards, and I'm also using it now for completely clear cards. Now, we call this in my online store, we call it window sheets. And so it comes in a package of 2 12x12 sheets of this acetate. And it does sell for $5. Now, I just wanted to give you that item number if you're interested, and that is 142314. But if you head on over to ritaspapermotif.com, you will get all those measurements and all of the product that I use for these cards. So I'm not sure if you've used acetate. Please let me know if you have in the comment section. And that's just a good thing to know. Now, what I like about the acetate that is in my online store is it's sturdy. So sometimes you will see acetate that is a little bit flimsy, and so it's great to have product that is sturdy, because if you are going to make a card, you want your card base to be able to stand up, correct? And so that's the beauty of these window sheets, is that they're sturdy and they stand up. The other thing to remember is that if you're making an A2 size card, which most of mine are, although I do love slimline cards, but so usually those measurements of the cards, of those card bases, are either 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 as far as the face front, or vice versa, 5 1/2 by 4 1/4. So if you take a 12x12 sheet, you are going to need to cut it down to 11 by 12. And if you do that, in order to get maximum amount, or to get equal panels to use for your card, you would need to cut them at 4 inches rather than the 4 1/4. Now, I'm okay with cutting them at 4 1/4. I won't get 3 card bases out of each 12 by 12 sheet, but that's okay because I'll use it for many other things. And as the week progresses, you can always head on over to the website again and you can see how I've used it for other projects other than what you see today. But this is what I started out with, was a card base. Now I'm going to go ahead and make that card with you right now, and then we'll look at some other projects that I've used the acetate for to get that clear card look. All right, so I'm just going to take everything out of here. We're going to move our card base. So this does measure 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. And of course, before I scored it, it was 11 inches by 8 1/2, of course. So I just cut it. Actually, it was 11 inches by 12, and I just cut 4 1/4, and then just created this A2 size card. I think I got all mixed up there with those directions, but you want to end up with 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 front, right? And so we're going to put that to the side. Now I wanted to talk about the items that I needed for my card. As you know, I've said before, what I like to do is I like to have 2 baskets near me all the time. And in each one of those baskets, I have different items. One basket will be to use is the items that I have in there for each project that I share with you. And then the other basket is for items to use or to reuse. So we're going to start out with 2 larger size ovals that I cut on my my cut and emboss machine. Now, originally I was going to use the framed florets for the oval, but I found that they weren't big enough for what I wanted. And then they were too big at some areas and not big enough in other areas. So I just went ahead and used my oval dies, regular oval dies, and I cut 2 ovals. Now, for me, it's important that they are the same size because one oval is going to be on the front of the panel of the card, and then the other will be on the back of that panel. And I will get to why we do that. And then I did cut also 2 more ovals, and they are smaller in size, but that's going to be for the sentiment and the back of the card. So we really right now only need to deal with one of those ovals because that's what we're going to build on. And I wanted to share this product with you because this is what I used to create the images that I'm going to put on this oval. And stick with me so that this all makes sense to you. But it's the pansy dies. And now the pansy dies and that stamp set come in a bundle. They have been, this is the second time that they are in our catalog. And you can definitely go take a look at that item. It's on page 15 in the annual catalog. So you'll get the stamp set, and then you get the dies. Now, I'll tell you, I have used this bundle over and over, and because it was in the catalog before, it has offered that time frame to be able to revisit it several times. But what I enjoy most about this stamp set or this bundle is that it provides the opportunity for those of us that like to make our cards, and even you know, if you're using this for a scrapbook page, it gives you the opportunity to take the different layers and build them. And I love that. I love an item that you can use as it is or that you can build it. So I have come to love layers on my cards, and this is just perfect for that. So this is one of those bundles that I would say you are wiser to get the stamp set and the dies together. Not only do you save 10%, but you will find those dies are just I don't know that I don't know that this stamp set would be so great for me if I didn't have those dies to rely on too. Now, originally this came as a suite or a collection, and so we also had some designer series paper that came with it. The designer series paper is not available anymore, but I did save some of the examples, and let me grab some here. Hopefully I still have them here as I, let's see, what could I have done with them? Oh, yep, here they are. So here was an example of that designer series paper that came in that package. Again, it isn't available, but you know, I like to keep a sample because it helps me to recreate when I have the opportunity to use those dies. And so I did. I took this designer series paper that is, you know, that I saved, and I recreated this pansy. Now, number one, I love pansies, so I'm going to put this to the side because we're going to look at those dies. I love pansies because, you know, in the garden, they are, it's like walking into your grandma's house and you smell, and it smells like she just made cookies. And that's the kind of same thing that pansies do for me in a garden. They're just like, sometimes I think they're understated, or maybe we don't give them enough attention, but I'll tell you what, they really add a je ne sais quoi to your garden. And whether you're using them in a container, as a container garden, or even in a garden, they just do bring that little touch. And so I don't know how you feel about pansies. If you like them, let me know in the section, in the comment section. But I'll show you what I did. I took a piece of basic white cardstock, and I used this die from the die set. What's great about it is not only does it cut out the shape, but it also embosses the card, so you'll get that nice texture. So this is kind of was the base of the flower, which is what you see right here, using this die, and I only needed to cut one. And then I needed to cut the petals that go in the back. And so I used this die. Now you'll have to cut two of them, and I did. And this paper is not, I really am going to tell you that I don't think that I would use it for a an image, because it's too much of one color and not enough interest, but I am using it just for an example. So I took those two back petals that I die cut with this die, and I just glued them together. So you can see that I used fresh freesia for the image that we're going to use on our card. So I glued them together here kind of at the tip, and then I glued them on the back of the basic white cardstock, and that creates this layering that gives it, you know, several petals, and that's what you see in a pansy. So this is kind of a cross section, I guess, but when you're looking down, you do see those petals, and they're beautiful. And so I went ahead and glued those together on this image. So that was the white and the fresh freesia. And then I wanted something to bring interest in it, and to kind of make it like, you know, pansies have different colors. They're not just, usually not just one solid color. So I used this die, and it's this one right here. I used this die, and I cut, or I ended up with a piece like that. And so you can see the interest or the contrast better with the darker colors. But this is, so when I'm creating my cards, sometimes I'll create examples to kind of work out any problems that maybe I didn't foresee. So I did just go ahead and do that. And now also in this image, as well as in this image, you see that there's a middle part. And so that die is also in these dies. And so I didn't cut it out of the yellow, but that's this die right here. So you would cut it out, and then it would just fit right in there. And so it gives you that middle part, this part of the pansy. And then I thought, well, I'm going to want, so we're kind of finished with this. So then that created the flower. And then I thought, well, I'm going to want some leaves, right? Because I want to, you know, I like color on my cards. And so I used both of these dies. One is a larger leaf and one is a smaller leaf. And the same thing is true with this die as with the other dies, and that is not only do you get the shape, but you get that impressed texture in there as well. So one of each I cut. Now let's go ahead as we're talking and put this together, because then we can move on. I just like to share with you, and I don't want to get behind here. So I'm going to lay this down so I have an idea of where I want things to fit. Now, keeping in mind that this is a clear card, so whatever you put on the front here, it is going to show up on the back. And so I'm going to show you how I did that. But what I don't want is any of these items to be poking out from this white oval. So I'm going to go ahead and lay this leaf. I'm going to use my glue, my liquid glue, and I'm hoping that it plays nicely with me today, because I do have some some little parts that I have to put on here. So let's see. We're going to put that right here, and then our flower would sit there, but I have another leaf that I wanted to put, and I could either put it right here if I wanted to, but I think I'll put it right here. So I'm going to go ahead and put, again, put the glue. Right like that. And now I can go ahead and attach my pansy. Okay, and so we're going to put, again, I want the pansy to stay within the perimeters of the oval. And so I'm going to just put it like this. Now, I think that that's beautiful in itself, but I just wanted some more color. I wanted to, you know, I used my green scraps, or I used green from my scrap bin. So I think if I would have done it differently, maybe I would have used a lighter shade of green, but that's okay. It's okay. I'm happy with it. So I wanted just some more color here, and I do tend to gravitate towards the purples, my favorite color, but I know that I need to expand on that. So I took the other die that comes in the pansy dies, and this is a stem, and it goes along with this little bloom die, and it offers like a little bloom. So, you know, on your pansies as they're growing and maturing, then they do get stems that have the little blooms, and then you get more flowers, right? So that's what I did with this. I cut this out of the green, and there we have the stem, and then this little bloom I used to cut this, and then I just glued it on the back. So we're going to put this, I'm going to stick this right here. Now you could do any color you wanted, right? Because if it's your card, you are going to do what color you want. And so I'm just going to stick that right here. Let's see it. I want to plan this. Okay. All right. I think I got it. So I'm going to go ahead and put this liquid glue on the back. And I am going to have to bring it closer so I can get some glue on the stem, because you know how this glue can be. And so I am going to stick it right in here. I'm pulling that image. Let's see here. Okay, so now we have the image that's going to go on the front of the card. But I do want to make it complete before I put it on my card. And so I knew I wanted a sentiment. So I thought, what sentiment could I put on there? And so, you know, I do always keep this stamp set in my to use box, because, well, I use it all the time. I thought I want it to be a thank you card, and so I thought about this big bold thanks, because really what I wanted was a layering, the words layer that I could layer that would say thank you. And so I find that that is the one thing that I feel that I'm short of a lot, is the dies that will cut the word and then maybe cut the shadow around it, just so that you can layer your sentiment, right? So I had to do the next best thing, and that is kind of create that layering effect myself. And we do already have some dimension here with this flower, so you know, that might be kind of a thing that I don't have to worry about too much. So what I did is I went ahead and just used the cursive thanks, because I think the bold was too much, and I was going to put thanks friend, but if I cut that out and put it on there, all of that work I did for this beautiful flower is going to be down the drain. So I settled on this thanks, and I use my memento to stamp it, and I'm just going to cut that out. Now I'm going to bring it closer to me so that I can cut around it. And now we all know that you keep your scissors still and you move your cardstock around, and that helps you to get that shadow. Now I do have to bring it closer, so I'm asking for your patience. And while you're waiting for me to finish this, I did want to just remind you that you can find all of these items in my online store, and that would be at ritaspapermotif.com. And I am going to be creating other clear cards using that acetate for the week, so you can definitely head on over to the website and just kind of check it out. Some of those samples I'll post here on the business page, but some I will not. And also, while I'm cutting this out, it'd be a good time maybe to take some time to let you know that I will be offering the online class again that you can have for free with qualifying purchases. I'll do the online class on Easter cards. So if you haven't done your Easter cards and you want to do them, you're going to want to tune in starting soon. Starts next week. Okay. All right, so I am through cutting that out, and we can get rid of all of this garbage. Now, I'm going to go ahead and stick this thanks right here. You can really put it wherever you want. I didn't really want to cover up that beautiful pansy, so I'm just going to put it this way. I am going to use some dimensionals because that is a good way to obviously get some dimension on here. And let's see here. I'm going to use up some of these older dimensionals because we don't want to waste anything, and because they're on the end and they're smaller. And we do have the smaller dimensionals, but I just want to use this up. So I'm just going to put it on here. And I use a lot of dimensionals. I just like the elevation that they give to the cards. And so you can use your take a pick tool to take off that release paper, or you can use your fingers, which I'm going to do. Let's see. One more. Okay, and then we're just going to go ahead and attach this sentiment right here. Now, when you're building your clear cards, you want to realize that how you adhere this to this acetate, you have to consider some things. Whatever adhesive you put on here is going to show through on the back. And that is why I have another oval that is the same size so that you can't see that adhesive. And you could use your glue if you wanted to. You could even use your Stamp and Seal. I am choosing to use my Tear and Tape. And so I'm just going to put strips on here. And I don't want this to show through. Now, I will tell you when I made this card that I ran the cauldron and all the parts except for the sentiment and the shamrock, I ran through my Xyron machine. But I realize not all of you have one, and if you have one, you can share that with me if you want. But I realize that not everybody has one. And so Tear and Tape is a great thing as well, and I am going to use that for the rest of my cards. Now, I did just put that Tear and Tape away, and I'm not quite sure why I did. But we're also going to put it on this oval, because we're going to put this on the back side. And you can use this that will be on the inside flap. You can use this you can put another sentiment on there, or you can just leave it. You could put maybe a smaller pansy on there if you wanted to, whatever works for you. So we're going to decide, or I'm going to decide that this is going to be the front of my card. I'm going to take that image that we just created. I'll take my, take your pick tool, and I'm going to take off that release paper. And then I'm going to adhere that onto the front of the card. Okay, so I wanted to tell you too that when you get your stamp sets, realize that you get some of that nice acetate. You get sheets of that nice acetate in your stamp set to protect the stamps. You also get a little bit of acetate that is kind of flimsy, but save the strong one, because you can definitely use it for these kinds of things as well as overlay cards. So I'm going to go ahead and stick this oval that we've dressed up right here on the card. Now I've tried to stick it in the middle, but then I remember you're going to see through here, and I don't want to take the chance. I actually can't see that adhesive, but if you want to, you could go ahead and put another oval right here. Again, I don't see the adhesive, and I'm looking closely, but let's go ahead and use this for demonstration purposes. Let's go ahead and, looks like some of my Tear and Tape just came off, so that must have been the end. Let's see here. I have another one. We'll just use, I don't want it to flap open, so having that Tear and Tape where I need it to be is important to me. So let me just put another piece here. And I do want to say, if you've taken advantage of that celebration catalog, kudos, because there are some beautiful things in there. That owl stamp set I have used and used and used. Okay, let's see, one more strip. Okay, now this is going to go on the inside. And I'm going to be very careful to line it up as best I can. I'm not so concerned if the top front shows through on the back, because really the only reason that I'm putting that oval there is to keep the Tear and Tape from showing. Okay, all right, so we got that, and then now I'm going to think about what do I want for a sentiment. So I have these two ovals, and I'm thinking, what do I want for a sentiment? So I did put thanks here, and I'm thinking just because I already have it cut out, I could go ahead and put friend there, or we can stamp it. Now, because we have so much adhesive on here, I think I am just going to go ahead and stamp it. I can stamp friend, or I can stamp another stamp. So I'm looking through some of the stamps that I have sitting here that I'm going to show you. And I'm going to take a stamp out of this set that I'm going to show you in a little bit. And the stamp that I want to stamp says, you can do amazing things. I don't think I'm going to do that. I think I'm going to use the word friend. I've just changed my mind. Sorry. So let's just do friend from that great stamp set that I have here. I am going to do the cursive. Looks like I need to wash my stamps. They're not sticking to the back there. All right, and a little block here. My memento. And we're only going to stamp on one side. And so I'm going to try and do that in the middle. And then remember, I had some of that designer series paper that was left over. So you might not have it. But if you don't, then you could, you know, maybe you could create one, or you could use the stamp set to stamp something in here to decorate that sentiment part. I'm just going to do that. All right, so we'll clean off our stamp, and then let's go ahead and put these on our card. Let's see, I think I better make sure this has some glue here so it sticks down. I'm always trying to be so careful with this glue because it's not made for those that are heavy-handed, and guess I am heavy-handed. All right, so let's go ahead and I'm going to use some tear and tape again. Okay. And we'll take off the release paper. You know, the release paper on the tear and tape and the dimensionals, they get very staticky, and I find them all over my house. Okay, so let's see, this is it. And we're going to stick this inside. I am trying to kind of make it within that oval that we've already put on there. So I'm going to do it that way. You know, if your eyes don't deceive you, then maybe you could do it another way. But let's go ahead and put on this last oval. Now this is the one that goes on the back. It's going to cover up that tear and tape on the sentiment part. You could leave the sentiment part blank, and you could write a personal message. You could also create 4 of those larger ovals if you wanted to. I just made this smaller one, but you definitely can do that. And I'm going to make sure that my tear and tape is not sticking out here, so that would defeat the purpose of putting 2. But you can definitely, on the back here, you could go ahead and put your personal stamp. And so I like to just go ahead and put the stamp that comes with the angel set, so that if I ever decided to sell this, then I could do that and be in compliance with copyright laws. So let's go ahead and take off the release paper again. And I hope that you know, if you've made clear cards before, and so this is not new to you, then I just hope that, you know, I just give you another idea. But also just go ahead and share your ideas in the comment section. If you've made some and you have ideas, go ahead and share them. If there's something that I've not said that you think we can all learn from, then go ahead and share that too. So this is the easiest part probably of all, and that is I'm going to go ahead and stick this oval right here, and I'm going to try my very best. I have to get it closer because I want it to be right on. And you can go ahead and glue it down. Now, thus I have my clear card. And these clear cards fit perfectly in a medium-sized envelope. And so there we go. There's our clear card. Now these are sure to be of interest to the recipient. Let me clean up here and we'll look at all of these cards, because here's the one that you and I created today. So I'll just pull that out a little. Need some room here. Here's the St. Patrick's Day card that I created, and I wanted to tell you a little bit about that. So I don't have a die set that has a cauldron, but what I did is I took my circle dies, my layering circle dies, and I cut, and I believe this was the largest one. In hindsight, I would have done the size, one size smaller, because this is so big when you start to flap it open. So if you looked at the back, you can still see part of it, right? So I would have used a smaller one. But I cut the top off of that circle, and then I just did a strip of black to give the cauldron a lip. And then these are just circles that I cut out of some scrap Daffodil Delight, excuse me, cardstock. And I just cut them up so that I can make them look like coins. Now you definitely could dress that up with, you know, you could maybe emboss some glitter or embossing powder and heat it up and make these. You could use stickles. If you have some stickles, you could use that. Or you could just leave them. I just left mine. This is a sample, so I'll be making some of these for St. Patrick's Day for the senior citizens home that my granddaughter and I donate cards to. And so this is one of those samples. But so I use the circle dies a lot. And then, of course, that sentiment comes from that cute stamp set called Lucky Clover. This is available. It's right now in the mini catalog, so you have till April to get that. It's also in my online store. And so when you check out the blog, it'll have the item number and everything on there. So it makes the shopping more convenient. So I just put Happy St. Patrick's Day on the front. On the inside, I put good luck. All right, and so you're wondering about the rainbow, I'm sure. Now, I will tell you that you can create your own rainbow using those circle dies. And especially if you're going to do a lot of these cards, that will come in handy for you. But I did cheat a little bit because about, I want to say, gosh, maybe in 2020, 2021, we had a stamp set that in our catalog that came along with some 6x6 designer series paper. And, or it might have even been in a celebration. That's how long ago, I can't remember. But I only had this one sheet left over, and I've had it for a while. So I thought, you know what? This is a sample that I'm showing you, so why not just use it? So you can see where I cut out two of those rainbows. They're half rainbows like this. And so I did use one here, and then I used one on the back here, because remember, you're going to see whatever's on the front, you're going to see on the back. And you can see that you can't see the adhesive because I used my Xeron machine for that. But what I don't like is that you know, well, I guess it's okay because it looks like you're looking down on the coin, but you know, you're going to want to adjust this so it appeals to your eye. Anyway, so I did use the Shamrock punch here, and I love the punches because you know, they're a good price point and they stay forever, and they're just, you can use any green paper, you can use vellum. It's just, they're just great. So this is also available. They actually come as a bundle. So when you get them as a bundle, you save 10%. They are available in my online store. So if you're interested, head on over and get your bundle. And so that's what I used to create this card. I am going to do some more for St. Patrick's Day, as I said before, but they fit perfectly in the envelope. And you know what? If you don't have acetate, you are more than welcome to just put this on your card front. And I think that that would be great as well. So your imagination is the limit there. And then I want to show you something else that I did. We had, a while back, we had these acetate boxes. And they're treat boxes. So they come, they're 3 1/8 by 3 1/8. So if you had some of these and you still have them, this is a good way to use them up. But what I did was I cut a 3 by 3 piece of basic white cardstock, and that's going to be what's going to be inside. So I was thinking more like a shadow box or a shaker box. And so when I put that paper in here, here's how they come. They're not available in the online store anymore, but you can definitely get some on Amazon. And what I noticed is when I was thinking about sealing it up, right? You want to seal it up because you don't want your sequins all over the place. If I stuck it inside, then those sequins were going to get stuck on that lip that you just stuck inside there, right? And so I thought, well, I'll just seal it on the outside. But now you can see the tear and tape. So I knew I would figure out a way to remedy that if I could. So I went ahead and used the tear and tape, sealed up the box, and then I put those tabs on the outside because they kept the paper from moving, or they kept the paper, like one side would be stuck to the back of the box, and you wouldn't have that two-sided shaker thing going on. So I went ahead and did that, used my tear and tape, did the same thing to the top. Once I inserted the stamped image and then the sequence, I went ahead and did that. Same thing on here. Then what I did is I just took tear and tape and put it on a strip of basic white, actually 2 strips. This is about, I want to say, 1/4 of an inch wide, a little bigger than 1/4 of an inch, almost a half. And then I just put it around the box so it keeps this nice and tight and closed, keeps all the sequins inside. Now, if you're wondering about the inside, I used this Country Park punch for the flowers. Again, love these punches. You don't have to use them with just the stamp set they come with, but I'll tell you what, they are great for different projects. So, you know, this is available, so it's good to use it. And then I did just cut out some clouds, basically. So, on the other side, though, I wanted to create, and this kind of reminds me of the weather that we're having here where I live. We've had winter for a very long time now, and it's kind of frustrating. I love winter, but what I hate is shoveling the snow in my driveway, and then I go out the next day, and it's like I was never out there. So it gets annoying after a while. But I wanted like a spring thing, so we know that it's, what is it, April flowers, spring, May flowers. I don't quite remember how that saying goes. Let me know in the comment section how it really goes. But so I wanted that kind of a wintry feel there. So I took a stamp set that, and where did I put that stamp set? I took a stamp set that came from here it is. It fell out of my basket. That came out of a collection kit. Now this collection kit is available in the online store. It's called No Matter the Weather. What's great about these collections is that it comes with everything that you need to make cards. And so, of course, this is I've already made the cards that came in this kit, but I always keep the stamp sets because just like the punches, I always find a use for them down the road. And so I keep stuff rotating in my to-use box, and this is one of the ones that I put in there. So I wanted actually to get this feel that you see right here, the gray skies and a little bit of grass. So that's what I did here. I used my gray slate. Oh gosh. Slate gray to create the grayness of the sky, and then I used the stamp in here, this little cloud stamp. There's a cloud stamp that looks like this, and I used that to create clouds in the background. And then there's a little stamp. I should have just taken this out. There's a little stamp that has like rain. And so I used that to create some raindrops. And then again, I used that Country Park punch for the flowers. And then I took also, so I did the gray granite. Oh, there we go. The gray granite for the sky. And then I did the garden green for the grass. And then I just did the flowers. So, and I did use up some of my enamel dots. So some of those are very old, and I just used them up. And then this makes like a nice shaker card, right? I use the sentiments from the stamp set. This one says, no matter the weather, we're in this together. And then on the opposite side, I put let love grow. So here is the side where I sealed up the box. So let love grow kind of hides that tear and tape. And then because you know, it could be cloudy up here, I don't think this takes away from the box. So this is a cute little card. Of course, I would never mail it because it would defeat everything that you just did to create it. But this is something I would give or would hand deliver. And I did use the sequins that are in our catalog, so I want to show you those. And thank you for your patience. But they come in a package of, well, they come in, so it's one package, but you have 3 containers. And of course you see the different shades, green, pink, and blue. And I'll tell you what they're called. They're called, For Everything a Fancy Sequence. And that number or item number is 159187. Again, you can get all of this on the blog. And also, I know that these are not available at this time, but I have some ideas that I share on the blog that if you wanted to recreate something like this, you definitely could do that. And so you want to visit the blog. It may take a couple of days for that to all get on there because I am just catching up with my blogs, but it'll be there. And then I did also tell you I did use these. I've had them for a long time. They're not available on my online store. And I can tell you that these are not the easiest for me to use. They're great if you're going to adhere them straight onto the card, but they're not really good as sequins because they're kind of bottom heavy, if that's the right term. The part that you look at is shiny and pretty, but the part underneath it has like a release paper, and it kind of it looks blah to look at. But I did put a few in here, hoping that at some point that shininess of the front will show through. So we have 3 projects all using the acetate, and we created one of those cards today. And I just want to encourage you to use your acetate. That word transparency is so obvious here. So yeah, and any other products that you need to create your card, you know that you can find them, or you can get in my online store. And the ones that you can't get in my online store, check out the blog because I'll give you alternative things to use to create the same sort of card feel. And if you don't have the acetate, but you really like what you see, you know, you can adapt it. So my goal is to inspire you to create cards and to give you design ideas, and then ultimately to earn your business. So that's what I'm all about. And now I did just want to thank you for sharing your time with me today. And if you liked any of that content, please go ahead and give me a thumbs up. All of your engagement does, help with our page. So thank you again for sharing with me. And don't forget, you want to get your purchases in to take advantage of the celebration campaign. So thanks so much, and you all have a great day.